conditions were tough, particularly in the early parts when it was very, very humid. The rain was falling, the floodwaters are still subsiding.
A natural disaster can be confronting for anyone. The level of destruction that our people are exposed to when they are at any side of a natural disaster, whether that's Tonga or indeed the floods here at home, can be a very emotional piece when you're dealing with people who are suffering a degree of loss and shock.
Joint Task Group 629.3 commanded the ADF response. We had many units and personnel assigned to us, both here in Queensland and New South Wales. We had a RAF task unit formed from personnel predominantly from Amberley, but drawn from all over Air Force. We had a Navy task unit that consisted of the HMAS Sierra, the HMAS Shepparton, a clearance diving team and a survey team. We had an aviation task unit formed from helicopters out of the 5th Aviation Regiment in Townsville, and they provided really important support, particularly in the early part of the emergency phase of the operation in search and rescue, plucking people off roofs. And as the operation evolved, they also transported supplies, equipment and troops into areas where it was difficult to access by road. Here in Brisbane, it was based on a task unit from 6 RAR and an infantry unit based here at Gallipoli Barracks. That task unit included parts of 11 Brigade, our reservists, and other parts of the 2nd Division. That task unit was engaged right across the region, and they were engaged predominantly in disaster clean-up work. The early parts tends to be helping people get the stuff out of their houses and onto the footpath. The next phase is getting it on the trucks and off the streets. Well, most of the people involved here in Queensland were from the community. A lot of people very distressed, anxious, worried. Despite having to deal with people in terrible circumstances, overwhelmingly it can be a positive experience when the soldiers, sailors and aviators can see that they're making a difference and that they're helping in the course of their duties. The ADF's been supporting state jurisdictions all across the country for over 2 years now with Operation COVID Assist, which continues at the moment. At the height of COVID Assist, there was well over 800 personnel here in Queensland in 629.3, and that was supporting the quarantine compliance monitoring for hotels, the police checkpoints on the borders, and other tasks associated with COVID Assist.
The Government of Tonga, I thought, did a fantastic job remaining calm under really demanding circumstances and really started to understand what their level of need was so that we could be very careful and targeted with the support that we required. But it very quickly became clear from the first overflights that we conducted hours after the eruption that the level of damage was significant all across the island archipelago. HMAS Adelaide was mobilised out of Sydney and very quickly was able to get underway with some important stores and capabilities, including helicopters to be able to provide aid. And importantly, all the way through was that contingency to be able to provide that aid contactless so that we could provide the support but mitigate the risks of introducing COVID into Tonga. Initially, of course, the provision of aid delivery, fresh water was of particular importance early on. We're also able to provide our engineers who did a lot of damage assessments on behalf of the Tongan government in those areas where we were requested. But there are those other niche capabilities as well, including our small boats, which enabled a great deal of access early on. And importantly as well, people like our padres, the ability to provide some comfort and support. We have a number of officers and padres who have deep roots into the region, and that provides us that great empathy and ability to make contact with the people and understand what the need is. It was a significant effort by Defence in support of the recovery operations and involved all 3 services and, importantly, a number of members of our Pacific family. Never underestimate the energy and enthusiasm of a good young corporal and the soldiers under his or her command to make decisions on the spot. So my job as a commander, more often than not, is just to set them up for success, make sure I support them with what they need, and let our great people get after the task at hand, because it's always the person on the ground that's best positioned to know what support is required. Importantly, I think it's worth reflecting that during our time of need, the Pacific family has also provided support to us. We've had troops from Fiji who have been part of the flood assist mission here and have been a fantastic part of the team. Similar to troops from Papua New Guinea and Fiji who also supported in the bushfires in recent years. So I think it's worth everyone reflecting that the Pacific family is good for all of us. On this Anzac Day, I think we reflect on the 80th anniversary of the incredible battles fought by that great generation of the Second World War. For me, when I see the efforts of our troops, be it here or abroad in our region, I am constantly reminded that they reflect that very same spirit. Names such as El Alamein and Kokoda that resonate in our history.
All of the people that I talked to were all overwhelmingly positive and thankful for the contribution of the ADF in the communities. This Anzac Day, I hope they all get a chance to reflect and I'd like to thank them personally for their service.